In the year 1480, Confucian courtiers ransacked the imperial archives. They sought to destroy every trace of one of the Ming dynasty's greatest achievements. The logbooks of the Starfleet, the greatest armada of wooden ships ever assembled, were consigned to the flames. From the smoke and ashes of that fire came a mystery that would tantalize the world. Just how far had China's imperial fleet pushed the boundaries of the known world? Could it have even reached America before Christopher Columbus? A remarkable man stands at the heart of this great mystery. His name was Zheng He. The most powerful of the court eunuchs. His loyalty in battle brought him great rewards. The emperor made him admiral of the Ming fleet. In 30 tumultuous years, his fleet of 300 ships and some 28,000 men undertook 7 epic voyages. For years, Zheng He's grave lay virtually unnoticed, tended only by his family in Nanking.
For almost 600 years, the family came here quietly, with no fuss. Very few people even knew the tomb was here.
The full extent of Zheng He's 7 voyages is now a subject of intense interest and controversy.
Of course, he was to lose his life on the 7th voyage. His tomb contains nothing but his clothes and shoes.
So much has been lost or destroyed, but Zheng He's story can be pieced together from inscriptions on the stone tablets he erected.
The emperor sent envoys to foreign lands to tame their barbarian habits,
to propagate
and instill in them our civilization.
Other fragments of information survive in provincial archives and imperial decrees, in an official history, a few surviving maps, and the memoirs of a translator who sailed with the fleet. This film will search for the true story of Zheng He's journeys.
Those who accompanied Zheng He on the fleet were regarded as heroes, and we worshipped them.
Zheng He sailed when Henry V was King of England, when most people thought the world was flat.
We have traversed immense waters, beheld waves like mountains, set eyes on far distant barbarian regions.
With clues ancient and modern, these 2 one-hour programs will follow in the wake of the mighty Starfleet.
Our sails unfurled like clouds, continued their course.
Evidence on the fact that the first European explorers all had charts showing them where they were going. Columbus had a map of the Caribbean. Magellan had a map of the world. Somebody discovered the world before the Europeans did.
The maps of those early explorers have all disappeared, but maps indicating islands on the far side of the Atlantic have survived. As early as 1428, there had been a map of the world that predated those early Portuguese voyages of exploration. His source was a Portuguese historian, writing more than 100 years after the event, who claimed this map had indicated both the Cape of Good Hope and the Straits of Magellan. If there ever was such a map, it no longer exists. In 1402, China was centuries ahead of the West in learning and technology. This was the era of the Ming Dynasty, one that would last from 1368 to 1644. The third Ming emperor had just usurped the throne and was keen to stamp his authority on the vast country and state bureaucracy he now ruled. To enhance the prestige of his throne, the emperor sought to expand trade and diplomatic contacts with the outside world.
He wanted to improve the relations with neighboring countries. So, Zheng He's mission was to be political. It aimed to spread and increase the power of the Ming dynasty. The emperor encouraged the tribute system. Indeed, ambassadors poured into the Chinese court to pay tributes, demonstrating the pulling power of the Chinese throne. You pay us tributes and we bestow benefits on you. By giving you back in benefits more than your tributes were worth, we showed we were a more powerful country and maintained moral superiority. Very typical Chinese thinking.
His traditionally minded Confucian courtiers advised against an ambitious and expensive foreign policy. They maintained that China as a land power should be self-sufficient, turning its back on the barbarians beyond the seas. But Zhu Di believed that seeking wealth and renown abroad would secure his throne at home. So in 1403, he ordered that a great fleet be built. For the next 30 years, it would fly the flag around the Indian Ocean and extend the tribute network throughout the known world.
In 1957, we found a huge rudder, 11 yards long. I saw it myself.
Archaeologists concluded the rudder post was 600 years old and 33 feet long, part of an enormous junk. An entry in the Ming Annals says the ships were 44 zhang in length. That translates to over 400 feet, 5 times longer than the flagship of Christopher Columbus.
Fujian has a long history of shipbuilding. We had very good natural materials, fir trees and pines.
With the whole weight of the Ming state behind it, the scale of this enterprise was awesome. Carpenters, sailmakers, and blacksmiths were drafted in from across the country. Archaeologists have dug up evidence of the new technologies that were deployed. As with the Titanic, bulkheads divided the ships into watertight compartments. Outer hulls were triple planked for strength. The emperor planned a series of voyages to win tribute and allegiance from the rulers of the Indian Ocean. He issued seals of office to be presented to local rulers, binding them to his throne. A stele, or inscribed stone tablet, gives the departure dates of the 7 voyages.
The stele records destinations as well as dates of arrival and departure. It states clearly that Zheng He was first to embark from the port of Taichung.
Zheng He recruited key members of his crew from the communities of Muslim Arab seafarers in Fujian province. Arabs had been drawn here by trade. Centuries later, Chinese Muslims still live here, worship in mosques, and recall the day the admiral, a fellow Muslim, stopped in their town.
There was a huge storm that day. When Zheng He came ashore to our town, our ancestors went to meet him at a pavilion on the edge of town. They chatted and played chess as if they were old friends. He stayed in our village for 2 days, but I don't know the details.
No, it was to recruit sailors and specialists for his fleet. The journey sounded too dangerous, but he convinced us over a game of chess.
He was particularly keen to recruit Arabs. Arabs had a great experience in navigation. They had always played a big role in links between East and West.
At the time of his visit, there were reported to be over 10,000 Arabs living and trading in the great ports of southern China.
His fleet needed a north wind. Zheng He still went to the mountain where the fishermen pray for favorable winds. And he too prayed to the goddess of the sea for safety. Men believed in the goddess. Men believed in the goddess. Men believed in her protection. They feared they would run into danger. There were between 100 and 200 ships, including 7 great boats for the commanders, boats for horses, people, water, and food.
Personnel, about 30,000, the majority of which were military people.